Welcome back to Behind the Vocals. This week we are joined by the one, the only, the legendary Karl Sanders of Nile. This was a wonderful episode. It was absolutely hilarious. Karl had me laughing the whole time, and it was just a blast chatting with him, talking all things vocals as well as guitar and everything Nile. So without further ado, let's get into this episode. All right, we are joined by the legendary, the one and only Karl Sanders of Nile. Sir, how are you?
I'm doing fine. How about you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm excited to have you here. It's an honor and a privilege. And I can't wait to pick your brain about all things vocals and music and everything.
Well, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me. Let's rock this thing.
Hell yeah, let's do it. All right, so how I like to start this, I like to just kind of give you the floor, let you kind of introduce yourself for those that are living on a rock for some reason and don't know, but kind of just tell a little bit about yourself.
Well, my name's Karl. I'm a guitar player. I do some vocals. I write some songs. Make albums, tour, you know, that whole song and dance.
All the fun stuff.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. And then Nile has been around since 93, is that correct?
Yes. 93 was when we started as Nile and went down a path, as they say. For like a decade before that, I played in various local metal bands. Playing covers and trying to write our own songs. But in 93, we said, you know what? We're writing our own shit.
Hell yeah. Nice. Nice. All right. So I'm curious, how long have you been doing vocals? When did you start, doing the metal vocals and screaming, singing, all that good stuff?
That was right around that same time.
Okay.
The catalyst for us becoming Nile, we had been a four-piece with a lead singer type guys. Great voice. Sonny Stafford. He was in the Ronnie James Dio mold. Super talented. Man, what a voice. Oh my God. But that had to come to an end. So then we're like, okay, who's gonna sing? And Chief, the bass player, had been doing backup vocals. He has a really nice voice in Alice in Chains kind of thing, Phil Anselmo, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So by default, we went, okay, Chief can sing. And we'll just go in a little bit different direction. We don't necessarily have to have a Rob Halford kind of guy. Let's see what we could do. Well, after a few months of that, I was like, I'm really enjoying stuff like the original Incantation with Craig Pollard. I really like that. I really liked the early Cannibal Corpse, Chris Barnes, super low, super guttural. I was like, I want to do some stuff like that. And no one else was going to do it. It was just me and Chief and Pete. So I was like, all right, somebody's going to have to do this. It looks like it's going to have to be me. I guess I got to learn how to do this. And that didn't happen overnight. That took a while.
Yeah. So is that what inspired you to become a vocalist? Just kind of, no one else was going to do it, so I'm going to learn it myself.
Sometimes you got to do what you got to do.
I feel like that's like a common thing within this show. A lot of vocalists will play, like I said, drums or guitar or stuff, beforehand, and then it'd be like, well, how'd you get in vocals? Well, no one else will do it, so I was like, hell with it, I'll do it, kind of deal.
Yeah. The tough part is that early learning curve when for a while it sucks. And you got to figure out, okay, what am I doing? What I need to do? What are these other guys doing?
Yeah.
How do you do this? Right. Once you can get past that and you know what it is you're supposed to be doing, then it's achievable.
Oh yeah. And one of the reasons I started this is not only to aspire like upcoming vocalists or musicians or give insight, because I myself love the behind the scenes stuff for music, seeing behind the scenes what's going on with bands and stuff like that. But there's a lot of just lack of knowledge when it comes to this. They're just like, oh, they're just yelling. They're just up there yelling, for whatever long. And it's like, no, there's a lot more that goes into it if you don't want to like really mess yourself up and to do it like you have on tour, where you may be out on tour a couple months at a time yelling every night. I mean, If you're just yelling, it's not
Ooh,
going to work.
dude, yeah, just yelling ain't gonna work, and you're also battling your health on
Yes.
tour, like because you're living in a tour bus and you're in a usually a shitty metal kind of venue. You're just a germ magnet for every silly little cold and flu thing that somebody in the audience is carrying around. So, man, it's tough to sing death metal when you got no voice, when you can't talk because you're fucking sick and you got a sore throat and everything's infected. You can't breathe because your sinuses are fucked. Yeah, you know, and you don't feel good.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter whether you feel good or not, or whether you feel like getting up on stage. You still got to do it.
Yep.
And you got to do it with half a voice or a quarter of a voice. Man.
And it's
Ugh.
taxing too, doing vocals, like physically taxing. Just
But it's going to tell you, if you're doing it right, you're using your whole body.
right.
So, you're if you're playing guitar or bass or drums, you're all to play death metal. You're already using all your body for that. So, man, yeah, that shit is exhausting. After 4 or 5 weeks, just want to sleep for a week.
Oh, I'm sure. Okay, so was guitar your first instrument, or what was your first instrument?
It was definitely guitar.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been playing since I was a young kid.
Oh wow, awesome. Oh yeah, that's super awesome. Okay, so how did you learn to do vocals? Was it just trial and error? Because one thing I always bring up, back when people started, even whenever I was getting into vocals, there was not a lot of source material. It was especially
Right.
for metal vocals, the screams, the harsh vocals, gutturals, all that stuff. You were kind of maybe a couple shitty YouTube videos out there, maybe if you're lucky, but there really wasn't anything. Now there's a wealth of knowledge out there for
Right.
different things and
Right.
vocal
Now
cord.
it's easy.
Oh
There's
yeah,
even vocal courses that you can sign up for that are most excellent, that'll save you years
yeah.
of beating your head against the wall.
Um,
But when I started, there was no YouTube. There was no nothing. All that we really had to go on back then was, I'd taken a few years of choral in high school, right? So I was singing in a choir in high school. So I had that. Also had the benefit of standing next to a guy who could really fucking shine, and to watch his diaphragm working, it really taught me a lot of stuff about posture, breathing, control, where you place the note, all that fucking shit. So I had a little help.
okay.
So I wasn't totally in the dark, although nobody could show me,
Yeah.
okay, well, how do you sound like Cannibal Corpse? And I still don't sound like Cannibal Corpse. I sound like me,
Yeah.
but that's another issue. There's nobody. So a lot of it was trial and error.
Okay.
I had a third shift job back in those days. And I was supervisor of software duplication thing, third shift supervisor. So mostly I was alone at night. So I would just blast death metal all night long while I was working and try to sing along and try to sound like that.
Okay.
And after about 6 months of that, I was like, okay, I'm ready. Let's do this thing.
Nice. What bands were you blasting back then? What were some ones you sung along to?
Early Cannibal Corpse,
Okay.
early Incantation, just because I love the vocalist so much, Craig Gillard. Morbid Angel, Immolation,
Oh yeah.
the classics.
Oh yeah. All the good stuff. Nice. Awesome. And yeah, like vocal coaches back then, you brought up vocal coaches now, you can sign up for courses. Back then it was kind of taboo if you were like, I want to do this kind of vocal. They're like, that's not singing. I'm not teaching that.
Right, because a vocal teacher, you went to their studio, they had piano there. And it was that whole thing, and they're not going to teach you to sing metal. they don't want no part of that.
Melissa Cross was the first one I've seen, and that's actually one of the ones I found to help kind of get me going. And she was one of the first vocal teachers that was like, "Hey, let me look into this," and actually started working with people and figuring out the science. So it's come a long way, that's for sure.
For sure.
So what were some early mistakes you made when you were learning to do vocals?
Ooh, where I was putting the air and how fast I was pushing it over my vocal cords.
Okay.
Right. And I would like, why can't I make this thing last more than a bar or two? What's wrong here? And it, it was using too much air. Right. For every octave you go down, you need twice as much air.
Yeah.
And right. And everybody thinks you gotta, push it really hard to do that. And that's not how it works. So that was a mistake that cost me a lot in the early years. But also how much body tension I had, like, because it's death metal and you're going just to play the thing.
Yeah.
Right. It naturally makes you do that with your voice too, because you're trying to give it 110%. But it's all about relaxing and, what you do with your shoulders, what you do with your diaphragm, what you do with your stance, all that fucking shit matters.
The little things that people wouldn't think of normally.
Yep.
So how is it doing vocals with guitar? Because props to you. That is, I can't even fathom trying to do that.
It affects how you write stuff. Like, because when I'm recording vocals in the studio, I'm not wearing the guitar.
Right.
So that I can, there's nothing weighing me down so that I can, get a posture and really focus on the details of what I'm doing. So oftentimes the vocals are disconnected a little bit from the guitar. But then when you go to play them live and you have to do both things at once, if you did some crazy ass rhythmic thing with your voice, well, now you got to do that while you're playing the guitar, which might have a different rhythm. The things don't always do the same thing. It's easy when they do the same thing.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. But when they do different things, that's where the fucking challenge is. And it takes work and practice, and you have to break it down. Where does the syllable go? Interestingly enough, if we haven't played a certain song for like 10 years or something, right? When it's time to, okay, we got to dust this thing off because we're going to play it on this tour. And I haven't played it and sang it in that long. I might not remember the words, but I know that when my hand is here or it's here, my mouth is supposed to do something.
Okay.
Right? Because a lot of it is muscle memory.
Yeah.
So I find that quite amusing.
That's awesome, though. It's awesome you can do that, and lots of practice, like you said, just years of doing it. What was there an aha moment when you started learning vocals? Like you said, doing them kind of about 6 months in your third shift job. Was there like a moment where it kind of clicked? You're like, gotcha. Like this is, I understand now how to not lose my voice a little bit, or be able to hit these notes.
And there are still ongoing moments of that. Yeah, I think anybody that cares about their craft is constantly learning, and doing different songs require slightly different things that you have to do or be aware of or be mindful of. So there's lots of aha moments, like especially when you can nowadays, there's 5 or 10 cell phone videos of every show on YouTube from different perspectives. So you can watch yourself and see where you go wrong, right? You can make the connection between, oh, that's what I hear, and look at that dumb thing I'm doing, or when you do something right, kind of like, when you shoot a basketball, you're throwing free throws, you know whether it's going in as soon as it leaves your hand,
Yeah.
because you can feel it, right? Because everything worked mechanically like it's supposed to. I think vocals are like that too. Like, when you're in the moment and you have got it right, that's a very empowering moment,
Mhm.
right? Okay, yeah, I just need to keep doing this. Whatever this thing is.
Oh yeah, awesome. All right. So, do you have a routine? I'm interested in this because this definitely is always a fun question, and it fluctuates from guest. And does your routine fluctuate? So, just when you're getting ready to do vocals, if it's a one-off show, if it's tour, studio, if you're under the weather, like you mentioned, the germs everywhere on tour, do you change anything? Do you alter anything to get you ready to go perform or to do vocals?
I don't normally have a routine other than to make sure I'm singing something
Okay.
every day. Like, even if it's driving in the car, singing along with the fucking radio, just so that you're using you know, the physical apparatus. Yeah.
Okay.
But too much death metal, you burn out the element, and then it's no good for the rest of the day. You can't do nothing till tomorrow anyway. So I'm careful about how I spend, what I got. Like, when we rehearse, because we got guys who live out of town. So when it's rehearsal week, we're rehearsing 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours a fucking day, because, well, that's what we got to do. That's what you got to do.
Yeah.
So, man, that's stressful on the
rough.
voice. So I'll sing like on the second part of rehearsal. Like, I'll rehearse and get all the guitar things and make sure that I have it good enough where I don't even need to fucking think about it. Then I'll fucking add
Okay.
the vocals on top.
Nice.
I find if I don't do that, I make a mess of both things.
Get it all locked in instrumentally, and then add the vocals.
Yeah, yeah. On tour, like when I'm sick, then there is some prep work, like trying to make sure that the sinuses are clear.
Mhm.
That's a big fucking thing. Um, Careful what I put on my fucking throat. Uh, yeah. Too
Okay.
much coffee's a no-no, and Red Bull doesn't help you.
Caffeine and all
It,
that stuff.
yeah, it doesn't help. And you got to drink enough water,
Mhm.
like during the day and at night, so that your body has enough time to produce the natural mucus that's like uh that you need so that you're not dry. Otherwise, you're dry, and that's no good neither. That does lots of damage. So all that fucking shit matters.
Yeah.
Drinking lots of water. It's
Hydration.
not. Yeah, you got to do it. You got to fucking do it.
Nice. It's funny you said you sing along with different things because I definitely a lot of musicians will talk about like tour shape, if you will. Like your voice kind of gets first week or so, it may be a little rough as you're kind of getting it, I guess, warmed up and going, if you want to put it that way. And then it kind of hits its stride, and then obviously by the end of the tour, it's tired. Like,
Yep.
But you kind of keep it semi tour shape by singing every day. You're kind of keeping it going and keeping, like you said, that muscle memory warm and going.
Well, so there's not utter shock, because it still applies. Like, the first week of tour, you're not quite at peak performance. You're kind of ramping up. But I find it's easier to not have to like have an insane hard curve. Like, it's a gentler curve if you sing regularly. It's not total shock to your system. Because if you don't, you got 3 months off from tour or 4 months off from tour and you don't sing at all, then you're starting from zero.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's harder.
Yeah. Makes sense. Makes perfect sense. All right. So what do you do for vocal care? Do you do anything, like you said, you kind of watch what you drink, but as far as like off stage or anything like that, are there teas? Are there anything you try to do to help,
I
or
fucking hate tea. So
anything you try to avoid, or just
hard liquor does not help. I love tequila, but when I'm on tour, I keep that shit to a minimum because it does not help you.
liquor
Does
in
not
general? I feel
help.
like alcohol, I don't think helps for the most part.
Yeah.
Some people actually will have it, I guess, is a loosen up thing, if you will. Like part of their pre-show, they'll have like maybe a beer or a shot, just to, I guess, get in the flow of things. But as far as vocal concern, it's not the best. It's
Yeah. I don't do that at all. I don't partake of anything before a show.
yeah,
Um there's too much to focus on.
yeah,
Like now some of that shit is tricky to keep together. It sounds deceptively simple. But it's pretty rhythmically involved and you got to really focus. So I don't like anything that makes that job any tougher than it already is.
yeah. And you're pulling double duty, so you have a lot to focus on.
Right. And if I expect, to be able to yell at my bandmates, hey, what are you doing over there? Then, I got to have it together.
I kind of always did the same thing before shows and stuff. I wouldn't drink or anything just because I want to be completely focused on what I have to do my job, do it well, do it the best of my ability. People pay money to be there. I want to give them their show.
Dude, I preach that all the time. Those exact words. People pay money, right? And it really bothers me if I got a cold or I got the flu. People paid money. It might be their only chance to come to a Nile show for the next 2 years or whatever. This is their night. They're going to be there. They paid their money. They deserve the best you've got to offer.
Yep.
Sometimes it is not possible to give them what you want to give them because you're sick.
Yeah.
And you got half a voice. And man, that's hurt. I hate that. It's soul destroying. But what the fuck are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Cry about it?
Yeah. Do the best you can and just
that's all you can do. You
Yeah.
can't stop the show.
No. Show does not stop.
Show does not stop.
And the vocals, it's so many variables, like you said, the sick and everything. I mean, any day you could wake up with whatever ailment that's gonna prohibit how you perform. It's
any germ that comes on that tour bus, it's like a submarine. Any germ that comes in, you might get it. You might not.
Yeah.
You might not. It's a roll of the dice, but you know what? You're in intimate proximity with everybody's germs that's on your tour bus. So, wow, you start thinking about what are the odds of trying to be healthy an entire tour? They're pretty slim. Only time I ever managed it, and it was a huge lesson. We were doing Creator, Morbid Angel, Nile, and Fueled by Fire, 8 weeks in Europe. I had steeled myself going, all right, 8 weeks, I'm probably going to get sick at least 3 or 4 times. It's going to suck, but it's a huge tour. Here we go. Creator had decided to bring their own catering company and to not just feed themselves well, but everybody on the tour, right? And this was very smart on their part because since everybody was eating good, nutritious food every day, not a single person got fucking sick.
wow.
Dude, I've never gone that long on a tour without getting something. But that's
awesome.
a mind blower. What you put in your body over a long period of time like that affects the strength of your immune system. If you eat shitty every day, you ain't got what it takes to fight everything off. That's just
Yeah.
wow. And this proved it to me beyond a shadow of doubt. We've never eaten that good since. We can't afford our own catering company, but it's a lesson.
Yeah.
Try to not eat shitty food the whole time you're on tour. It does not help you.
Wise words. Very wise words. Okay, we're gonna shift gears a little bit, and we're gonna go to lyrics. The laugh. I'm excited for this. Okay, where do you pull from for lyrics? I feel like I already know this, but it's in the question, so we're gonna ask anyways and see kind of what you dabble. What I mean from that, do you pull from conceptual things or do you pull from personal life experiences? What is your go-to for that?
Well, it's kind of a little bit of both. Because
Okay.
a lot of our stuff is historically based,
Mhm.
right? So it starts as usually some, we're Nile, we do songs about ancient Egypt. So, something like history, religion, mythology, ancient warfare. It's a metal band, so you got to have carnage and slaughter. So it starts kind of history based, but often it's filtered through whatever's going on in my own life.
Okay.
Um, uh, like a great example, when my wrath is done from the gates of Sethu, um, it's on the surface about pharaonic wrath. Why have my subjects rebelled against me? Blah blah blah. But it's also my kid had come home with a terrible report card, right? So that line, my subjects have failed me, that was from his report card. And I went, oh, this totally works, right? So it's kind of, yeah, it's about ancient Egypt. Pharaoh's mad about people rebelling, but it's also my kid and his fucking report card.
That's awesome. How is it blending that? Is it just kind of flows naturally, just incorporating your life things in the different historical events and stuff like that?
Well, I don't know that incorporate is the right word. It's kind of like songs are all around you at all times, and all you got to do is recognize it when it walks by you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I like that. I like that a lot. So, this will be another fun question, lyrically inspired. Do you have a lyricist that you look up to or that inspires you, that you appreciate their work? Is there anybody that stands out off the top of your head?
No.
Ooh, okay.
No. And that's not a throwing shade on anybody. That's going, who I look up to are usually writers
Okay.
and authors. Because I think metal often is a butchery of something else. Like somebody gets an idea for a song, takes cleaver to it. No, it's a metal song. And I'm not saying Nile isn't like that too, because in a way it is. Like I might get something out of a history book, and through the metal songwriting process, it basically is taking a cleaver and hacking it into bits that will fit in a metal song.
Yeah.
But I think, just like if you're gonna grind up some meat to make hamburger, if you start with throwing nice chunks of meat into the grinder, you'll come out with a higher grade grind.
Okay.
Yeah. So I like to throw chunks of good stuff in there.
Gotcha. Do you have any authors or anybody that inspire you off the top of your head?
Nile is rife with H.P. Lovecraft. And
Okay.
there's great bleeding hunks of Lovecraft that went into the grinder, but still remained recognizable as, that's definitely Lovecraft, right?
Perfect. Okay. Nice.
E.A. Wallace Budge is a author, did a lot of Egyptian history books, basically 150 years ago. perfect for death metal. Robert E. Howard, yeah. But I also like other stuff. Like there's a lot of Mark Twain in Nile. It's not immediately apparent, but it's there.
Mark Twain and Nile. Never would have guessed that. That's
Mm-hmm.
nice. Very nice. Insider info right there. Egyptian mythology and stuff, that does fit perfect with death metal. Like you said, it just works.
Yeah. When we hit upon that idea, right, and it didn't come right away with Nile. We had been Nile for months already. When there was an aha moment, an epiphany, like, okay, if I were listening to a metal band called Nile, what would I expect to hear? What would I want to hear? And that elemental question led us down this path. Like, okay, if you're going to listen to a band called Nile, yeah, they should be singing about ancient fucking curses and history and should be the goriest aspects of all that. Yeah, that's what it should be. It was an aha moment.
And it works. It works. It's worked for since '93 at this point.
Dude, going past 30 years.
That's crazy. That's amazing. That's sir, you deserve a round of applause for that. That's a hell of a feat.
Some people say, my God, what perseverance. Right? Right. When I see my friends from high school, they say, man, we really respect you. You were a metal kid in high school and you stuck to your guns and you did something with it. And I think to myself, well, that's a really nice way of saying that. Another way to say it would be, I wasn't smart enough to quit the many opportunities life presented itself with repeated failures. I was too stupid to quit. But at some point, it doesn't really matter which it is anymore, because for whatever reason it was along that path, perseverance or I'm too stupid to quit, they become indistinguishable from one another.
All right, so I got a hard one for you now. This one stumps everybody. So I'm curious what you go from this. Do you have a favorite lyric? And so it has you can go one of two ways. You can do someone else's, which I feel like we're not going to do that route.
Nah.
Or it can be one of your own. Is there anything that stands off the top of your head right away?
Immediately comes to mind, because we're going to be playing Ithy Phallic on this upcoming tour. We haven't played in 10 years live, but we're doing it now. There's a line in there that goes, anoint my phallus with the blood of the fallen. And that is such an awesome line for a whole bunch of reasons. But my favorite reason is because when the crowd sings along with that line, anoint my phallus, everybody of every gender is singing along with it. Dudes, chicks, whatever else is in attendance. Everybody sings that line. So it's not just dudes singing that line, like, anoint my phallus, Everybody sings along with it.
Nice.
So what does that mean? I've pondered this. Right? What is this? What is a metaphor for it? You can suck my dick, right? Everybody can say that. Like, I heard an old woman say it not too long ago. Suck my dick, young man. Right? Well, she obviously didn't have a dick. Well, most likely didn't have a dick. Right? But she still said this thing, and we all knew exactly what she meant. It meant, suck my dick, fuck off, fuck you, whatever you got, right? We all knew what it meant. So yeah, that's a really fun moment of an Nile show. We're doing that song, gets to the end, and everybody sings along with that, right? Not that we're phallic-centric or anything. It's just a bonding of some sort on an elemental level. Yeah, anoint my phallus.
Very clever.
When I see it, when we made the shirts on those tours years ago, and it had the big block letters on the back of the shirt, like album cover on the front, block letters on the back of the shirt, big, bold font, cover the whole shirt, says, "Anoint my phallus," right? Dude, I loved those shirts. Those shirts were awesome. And I wore mine to the fucking grocery store all the time. Like, you shopping, you get a gallon of milk, that's emblazoned on your back.
Love it.
Yeah.
Nice. Good answer. Very good answer. I like it. And you were ready with that one. You had that one, you know, loaded up for me.
It's almost as if I had the questions beforehand.
Okay, so tips for new songwriters. Lyrically, patterns, flow, cadence, all that good stuff. Do you have any tips for new songwriters when it comes to writing lyrics, doing the vocal patterns, all that good stuff?
Well, I give free advice all the goddamn time and no one listens. So I don't know that I want to give advice. What I'd rather do is beg, please stop recycling the same things that everybody else is recycling. Go recycle something else. Recycle something, anything that we haven't heard 50 times already. And then we'll have something fun and new to listen to.
Good advice. There we go. I like it. It works. Okay, another fun one for you. Do you have a favorite song or part to perform vocally? And vice versa, on the other side of that, is there one, like you said, when writing and you don't have your guitar and stuff, that when it comes to time on the show and you're like, you don't hate the part, but you kind of dread it because you're like, this part's rough. It's a little, you know, taxing, if you will. Because we all know that sometimes we'll record stuff in the studio and then we won't think about, we have to do that live. And then you go to do it live and you're like, oh shit, I did not fully think this through.
Yeah, that happens a lot, don't it? It's so common. Everyone has experienced this. Basically, all Nile vocals are like that. Like, why did I do this? Like, some of this shit with cross patterns, like chapter for not being hung upside down on a stake in underworld and made to eat feces by the four apes. There's shit in there that's damn near impossible rhythmically. Because I should have learned my lesson by now, but I often don't. Right? You do something because you're trying to make the song as good as you can make the song. And then you got to do it. So that one is chock full of impossible shit. Yeah. On the opposite, like a fun one, the Black Flame. Great vocal parts, but they're fun and not hard to do, but they're fun to do. It's like, yeah, Sarcophagus is another one. It's super fun. It's not hard. The cadences are all simple and easy, and you can have fun with it. All right. Yeah, love that one.
Do you have a favorite call out? And this is, I take this from like the Adam D's and all the ones that just come with the most off the wall shit. Because you know we have our standard call outs. I feel like your line you mentioned earlier is probably up there as something you really enjoy. But a lot of times they'll just, like I said, throw stuff that makes no sense in the heat of the moment, just random things, or you have your normal ones. Do you have a favorite call out that you do to kind of get the crowd going?
Well, I really like using the words metal and fuck, right? So if I can get those words into whatever it is I'm saying, I like that.
Okay.
That feels pretty good, right?
Okay.
All right. Getting people to embrace the metal, I like those things. Yeah.
I like it. Nice. All right, weird questions. Kind of, we're near the end of them now. Do you have any, and this kind of is a sports themed question. I kind of took the inspiration from that. But do you have any pre-show rituals or studio rituals? Something you have to do, like you have to wear a certain pair of shoes, or we've had one person, I've used it before, they have to drink light blue Gatorade in the studio. Like, it just, certain things they have to do to to do their stuff. Is there anything for you that you do like that?
Not as much anymore. Although, yeah, I have a pair of shoes that I have to wear that fucking pair of shoes, or I can't fucking play. It just feels wrong.
Yeah.
We used to drink this brand of energy drinks, and it was called Sobe Adrenaline Rush. And they don't sell it here anymore. They still sell it in Russia.
Okay.
So I was very pleased to see it, backstage on the rider when we were in Russia like 5 or 6 years ago. Might be longer than that. Brian and Brad were in the band. So anyway, I'm getting off track. So the Adrenaline Rush, it had just this insane amount of kick to it, but it didn't hurt your throat.
Ooh.
It coated your throat in this really fucking nice way that helped with metal vocals. But they don't sell it here in the States anymore. It's probably got something in it that's really, really bad for you. That's why you can only get it in Russia. But that was the one, man. That was like some sort of elixir of the metal gods.
All right. Is there a favorite place to play?
I got a few favorites.
Okay.
I really like Japan. I
Hear that one's amazing. Just the crowd, everything about that's super awesome.
New York City.
Okay.
London. Yeah. I'm from the Bay Area, so I really like playing San Francisco. Mexico City. Always a great show. Santiago, Chile. Like, yeah, that's amazing.
Okay.
And there's other places that I like for touristy reasons, but for the show itself, like El Paso was always insane because, well, it's right next to Juarez. So all the kids from Juarez would come across the border and make those shows unforgettable. I saw shit in El Paso I've never seen anywhere else on the fucking planet.
I'm sure you have some wild stories over the years of touring and doing the thing.
We could be here all day having fun.
That would be a blast. Maybe another time. I know I've took up too much of your time, so I kind of want to just two things left. I know you have an album that come out here in 2024. Definitely go check that out. Everyone that's listening, watching, and you have a tour coming up starts in January, correct? So I just kind of want to let you promote some things that are out, if you will. And
7.5 weeks of Nile, 6 Foot Under, Psychroptic, and somebody else. I can't remember who. They're probably going to hate me. Yeah, 8 weeks playing almost everywhere in the States we possibly can. It's going to be good.
Oh yeah, it's an awesome tour.
It'll be I think a really good opportunity for a wide variety of metal fans to come together.
Yeah, absolutely, love it. And then the album's out now. You guys can go get it. And,
the underworld awaits us.
There we go.
All
perfect. Final thing, because I know I've took up too much of your time, but do you have any advice? We've kind of already sort of touched on this, but vocalists in general as a whole, whether it's someone that wants to pick up the microphone, they already have the microphone, they're kind of trying to find their way, anything like that. Do you have any advice for musicians, vocalists trying to start out or trying to get their footing in this industry, if you will?
Oh, get their footing in this industry?
I know, interesting wording there.
All the rules have fucking changed since when I started. It's an entirely different fucking ball game now. So any words of wisdom that I had no longer apply, which is kind of liberating. It's like you worked your whole life to learn a set of rules or guidelines for success, and then they no longer matter. But the one thing that still matters is you've got to make some music that somebody wants to hear. My dad told me that when I was really, really young as a guitar player. He would say, well, son, that's great, but does anyone want to listen to that? Right? And those words kind of stuck, right? So it still applies today. If you're listening to some music or looking for some music to listen to, and you give a younger band a chance and go, okay, I wonder what they're about. Click on it, you try it. And in however many seconds it takes before you might be tempted to click on something else, that's the opportunity to do whatever it is that you're going to present to people with your music. So hopefully there's something in there that is interesting or unique or awesome in some way, right? That somebody wants to fucking hear it. Because there's a giant wall of goddamn apathy nowadays. There's a million bands that would love your time. Not all of them great, but enough of them that are really fucking good to make it a completely glutted and overpopulated place of choices. Just how many great bands can you fucking listen to? The list is staggering. Dude, so what does all that mean in a nutshell? If you're going to do it, do something somebody wants to hear.
Great advice. I love that. Karl, thank you so much. I've took up a ton of your time. It has been a pleasure chatting with you, sir. Thank you again. Honored to have you
for
on.
having
And,
me.
guys, go check out Nile. Going to be on tour, and check out the new album. Go show love. And hell yeah. Thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate you.
Thanks. I had a blast.
Thank you all so much for watching or listening to this episode of Behind the Vocals featuring Karl Sanders of Nile. Please check out all the links down below to check out Karl's social media as well as Nile's Spotify, social media, and tour dates coming to a city near you soon. Thank you all so much for watching or listening, and I'll catch you guys and gals on the next one.